Hello, my name is Bazan, and I'll be taking you through a very short introduction to working with the terminal. So we noticed a couple of you guys are not comfortable working with the terminal, and it's a necessary tool for a developer to have. So I'll just be taking you through a very short introduction, like basic things, like the simplest things you need to get started to be productive on the terminal. Nice, yeah. I hope you have a fun meeting or encounter. So what's a terminal? A terminal is a program that runs a shell and allows us to enter commands. So this is a terminal, right? Because because the shell runs underneath it and it allows us to enter a program. So like if we enter something like echo hello, to print hello back to us. So right, and a shell is a program that actually processes the commands and outputs results. So just for folks that are doing Python, I think you can have an appreciation for this on your ideally where if you on your interactive session where you can write print hello and it will output hello word to you. So that's sort of like the idea behind shell, or rather shell is sort of the idea, then Python copied shell or something like that. So a shell is a program that processes all these commands that we enter, right? Processes it and outputs the result. How does it process it? It takes in the commands and sends it to the kernel, which is like the back end of our OS. That's what does the gets the results we want and then returns it back to us. So that's like the basic idea of terminals and console. So what we'll be starting with is the choice of the command line tool you use. Since I'm on Linux, I'll be using the Linux terminal. That's the terminal on Linux. If you're on Linux, just click on terminal, it will bring it out. If you're on Windows, it's actually advised that you use Windows PowerShell or Git Bash. Actually, Git Bash, because that's better. The CMD is sort of a different tool. Like it's a sort of command line terminal tool, but then there are some differences between it. So if you are using the command prompt, you might not be able to follow this tutorial. And if you're on Windows, you can use I guess you guys have a terminal to use, so about it. And that's about it. So if you're on Windows, please Git Bash or Windows PowerShell. If you're on Linux or Windows, just use your terminal. You're good to go. The first command I'll teach you guys is clear, because I'll stop using it a lot. Clear, which is like to wipe your screen off. So let's say you have like a whole bunch of stuff you've written, a whole bunch, you can just clear, right, to wipe the whole thing off. Very comes in handy. Just write in and clear to clear it off. If you don't want to use clear, you can use Control L. Control L, it wipes it off too. So any of the two. That was like, just to get that, by the way, that was the first one I'll be taking you guys through. So so for subtle difference between the terminal and CMD is that, see this $sign that you see, that's like a shell that shows this is a maybe a Unix interpreter. Why, like on command prompt, you see something like this, rather, like a greater than sign. It does not matter. Like yours, all that matters is the commands you want to run on it, not like the specific environment. Excuse me. So the first command we are going to be working with is who am I? Who am I? What does who am I do? What it does is it tells you the user that is currently working, right? Like,
So so if you power down your system and you switch it back on, the first thing that happens is you get to like a password prompt. If you have password or whatever, then you see different users. Like maybe if you're working, if you have like 4 or 5 users on your PC, you have user A, user B, user C, user D. So if you click on user A, it will take you to like the windows of user A. If you click on user B, it will take you to users windows of user B. So if you want to know the particular user you are running as, right, just use who am I, and for me it's present, for you to probably bring out the current user you are working on. So there is an option you can pass to it, which is who am I help. See, print the username associated with the current effective user ID. So this dash help or dash h will come really handy, because that's what we'll be using. Like there are some commands we might not have ideas about, then we'll use those to query to get more information about them. So so now to move on, there's a command called cd, which is change directory. We notice that, I mean, there's a common theme within people that are just starting out in development or something like that, where if you want to access files, you do things like you open your file explorer. This is my own file explorer. You open your file explorer, let's say you want to go to teach or something, you go to downloads, like you navigate with your picture, videos, find it, desktop, you go to tutorial, like be some process. That's like the way you navigate stuff on your PC, and that's not effective, because like think about a scenario where maybe you're using VS Code or stuff, then you have to leave your working environment, you have to go to another environment to do something else. I don't know, for me personally, it sort of brings down my productivity, in that when I'm working on an app or on a terminal, I want to be there for like 4 or 5 hours. Like the hours that I want to work, I should probably be on that specific what's it called, terminal, rather than just moving about on my PC. So cd is to change directory, to move from one directory to another, rather than having to like manually use your mouse to click on stuff. So let's keep that one by the way. That's just what cd does. There's another command called pwd, present working directory. This tells us where we currently are on our PC, right? Like where we currently are on the terminal, rather, excuse me. So for those of you using Windows, if you enter pwd, you might see something like c dot user slash maybe your username slash desktop or slash documents, as the case may be. For me, this is my present working directory. So this is telling me slash home slash background. This is telling me that this is where I am. This is where I am. Slash home slash background. This is my store. Let me show you here. Disk analyzer. Okay, so this is the disk analyzer, right? Slash home slash, from what we saw here, I'm on slash home slash background. So this is where I currently am. Like, so if whenever I start my shell, this is where it will automatically bring me, right? For you to bring it to c slash user or something like that. So this slash home slash background is my home directory, right? Keep that in mind. We'll talk more about that as we go on. So how if I want to check the files on my, like all the files and folders I have in a particular directory, there's a command called dir, which is used to list all a files, or rather ls or dir, anyone, but I prefer ls because of the color. Like, it tells me which one is the folder. Anyone that is blue, that's a folder. Anyone that is white or any dark color, that's probably a file, right? So this is it. As you can see, we have documents here, we have documents here, we have documents here, we have downloads, I mean, it's better to show you. We have documents, we have downloads, and we have main.py, cat.py, a test file, test, right? Here is to list the contents of a directory, or ls, or anyone you prefer to use. It shows you what we have in a directory. Okay, now let's segue back to cd. So now if we want to, if we want to enter our, so let's check on our desktop. We have a tutorial folder, right? Inside the tutorial we have b, inside b we have JSON parser. So let's say we want to go to this directory now, right? I mean, what you guys will do normally now is to just click on it one by one, but no, you don't have to do that. You can just come here, dir, okay, cd desktop, right? dir cd tutorial, right? dir cdb, dir cd JSON parser, right? And voila, you are on the same directory as this one. Like, how do we know? Let's ls or dir to check the content. Teach staff. Right, if you want to know if we actually right, let's create a new folder, ade, and let's do ls. See, we have ade. Right, that's to show you that we are on the same directory. But then you might be wondering, I mean, why not just stick with my Windows Explorer if I have to see all the steps we did cd, where is it? Okay, we did cd tutorial, dir, cdb, dir, cd JSON parser, ls. I mean, come on, that's too stressful, right? Okay, but then there's actually something else. There's actually a way to do it where we don't have to do it that way. We can do something like cd. Oh, okay, let's keep that by the way. So we are on the same directory. So now if we want to go back, to our past directories, how do we do that? So where did we came from? Our /home/bazaar, right? The home directory. If you want to go back to the home directory, what do we do? I mean, if you are on your Windows File Explorer, you probably want to do something like /b. You click on b to take you back here, right? And if we want to do it on our PC, it's just the same thing as doing cd dot, right? cd dot. See, it takes us back to b. If we do ls, jq.py JSON parser, jq.py JSON parser. See, if you click on tutorial again, we are on tutorial. If we click on ls to show the contents a and b, we have a and b. If we click on desktop, cd dot, we are on desktop. If we click on dir or ls, anyone, we have bars, drizzle files and tutorial, exact same thing. Click on home, cd dot ls, and we're back to our home where we have desktop download. I mean, for me personally, this is too tedious. Like, why do I have to do this? This is just punishment, right? But then that's just to get us familiar with the syntax. They are better, like better. I mean, think about it this way: if this is how all developers work on their terminal, why not just use your GUI, right? Because that's way faster. But then the same thing we did by doing cd, we can actually do it all in one step, right? And that's by doing cd. We know we have it in desktop, right? We know inside desktop there's a tutorial folder, right? Inside tutorial there's a B folder, inside B there's a JSON parser folder, right? And voila, ls, we're in our JSON parser. So let's go back, JSON desktop tutorial B JSON parser. See, like that is way fast. Like think about it this way: if you have to do like 7 of these, right? I'm very sure it will probably take you as, well, it depends on how fast you can type. It will take you as almost like 2 or 2+ times the time it will take you to do it manually, like having to click on folders, clicking on folders, clicking on, I mean, that's just too stressful. And we just running this simple line of code, we can get to our JSON parser folder, right? And if we want to go back, I mean, if we wanted to go back, all we have to do is, I mean, instead of, like, previously I did cd dot dot enter cd dot dot, and that's just too stressful. We can just do cd dot dot. Dot dot will take us back into the B folder, right? Okay, slash another dot dot, that will take us back into tutorial, slash another dot dot, that will take us back into desktop, slash another dot dot, and that will take us back into our home folder. Boom. So this is basically literally doing this, voila. And now if we do ls, we are back into our same folder. So cd makes traversing the file system, called the file system, it makes it so easy. So for you guys on Windows, you probably want to do, let's say maybe you're on C, you probably want to do cdc, I'm not sure, cdc users, or is it user, I'm not sure, user, maybe your name is Ade, or Deb, slash like desktop or something, slash documents or files or something, like if you're on Windows and that works for you. Subtle difference between those of you on Windows and Linux is case sensitivity, right? So notice the way I entered cd desktop slash tutorial slash B. What happens if I enter cd desktop slash tutorial slash B slash JSON parser? Will it work? You can just pause the video and give yourself like 2 or 3 minutes to figure out if it will work. Definitely it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Why? Because see, no such file, because the Linux OS operating system is case sensitive, right? What that means is that the way you write your text matters. So music is different from music, which 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 is like it's wild. All these 5 are different, very different stuff. But on Windows, you could not care less. Tutorial is the same thing as tutorial, which is the same thing as tutorial, which is the same thing as tutorial, right? Like just any different, same thing. But that's on your CMD, right? If you try it, I'm not sure if you try it on your PowerShell. Let's see if it will work. I'm not sure, but you can go ahead and try it. But I have a very strong feeling that it won't work. But it will work on your CMD. Definitely work on your CMD, because CMD does not care about your case sensitivity. So really, what that means is, if you enter something like this, cd desktop slash tutorial slash B slash JSON parser, excuse me. So what that means is, when you enter this on your CMD, it will run, like, provided you have the respective folders, it will run just fine, but it won't run on Windows. That's cd for you. So we've mentioned cd, ls, dir, right? And that's good. Now let me explain, or let me talk about another concept that is very nice, which is the fact that you can access your previous commands. So think about it. Let's say you've been working for like 2 or 3 hours, right? You've been pressing different commands, and you keep pressing the same command. Like let's say you have for example now main.py. Let's say I've been entering Python main.py since morning, right? I've been using it since morning. Like think about if I have to type it, if I have to keep typing it. If I have to keep typing it over and over, like if I want to enter it again, type Python. I mean that can be so stressful. So on your terminal you can use your arrow keys. That's your up and down arrow keys to go back to your previous command. So if I click up, see Python main.py, cd desktop. Or if I keep going up, I can check my old history, right? There's something else too that might come in, and the control R. Like let's say you've pressed it like I don't know 50 like 20 hours ago or something. Can you just let me see a command that I pressed yesterday and git submodu, right? Exactly, brought it out. Or grep. See, exactly, like you can search your previous command. Basically that's what it does. So for our case we want to search main.py, python main.py, and voila, it runs for us. So please keep it in mind. It makes work faster and easier for you guys, for you to work. Now let's elaborate more on ls, right? ls is, I told you ls is to list the contents of a directory and the contents of a file. So if we do ls, it will show you all the files we have here. But really, is this all the files we have here? So let's say we create a folder, right, called .gitignore. Yeah, let's use .gitignore. Yeah. Notice that it does not show here, but if we do ls, will it show? No, it won't show. And we want it to show, right? Like we want to see all the files we have under this folder. So how do we do that? There's an option you can pass to ls, which is help. It will give you more information about ls. So if you scroll up, what's ls? ls is used to list information about the files, the current directory by default, right? So if you use ls, it will list information about the current directory. So there's an option, -a or -all. Do not ignore entry starting with dot. Do not list implied dot. Okay, so there's an ls-a. So let's do ls-a and let's see what happens. Voila. See, apparently we have a lot of files in this folder that I was not even showing before. And let's say maybe you are writing a program that probably wants to store, okay, if you are working with containers, for example, now you probably want to be editing config. There's this .config, if I'm not mistaken, inside .docker here, or .config, one of the two. I know there's a container, like there's a local container or something somewhere there, and you want to work with it, but it's not showing. How would you access it? So ls-a is to list all the files in the directory, like from the documentation we have. Do not ignore entry starting with dot, so it should show everything, right? ls-a, please keep it in mind. Very, very helpful. Now I have a trivia for you with ls. If you want to check the contents of desktop and you want to check the content of templates, right? How would you do it? On your local, on your file explorer, right? What you would do is you will probably do this. You open a new window. Right? You open desktop, a new window. You open templates, open a new window too, right? Just to check. I think there's nothing. So let's check the content of not to give out too much. Let's check the content of Linux 2004. Open a new tab, right?
open a new window, right? See the number of things we have to do. Yeah, you open this one, you open this one. Like, think about if you have to check the contents of like 3 directories. Maybe you're working with a file structure, right, that has like 3 folders, and you want to be update, you want to have an update on all the files that are inside each folder. You want to like see all the files, see how they interact with each other, and you're working with your file explorer where you have to click open on for each file. Like, just imagine how verbose your screen will be, how covered everything will be. So that will probably reduce your productivity. So what you want to do is you want to come to your terminal, right? You want to do very simple. You want to do ls want to check the content of desktop, right? See, ls desktop, ls want to check the content of Linux 20_04. Please don't forget case sensitivity. So if I write Linux 2004, it's not working, trust me. Right. Excuse me, Linux 2004, voila, and we have it. But then you might be wondering too, if I want to see everything at once, why do I have to write it separately? Yeah, you can do that too if that's what you want. ls desktop Linux 2004. See, voila, this is the content of desktop, this is the content of Linux. Let me clear so you can see it very well. See, this is the content of Linux, of desktop, this is the content of Linux. See, it works fine. And that's ls for you. What if you want to see, remember I told you this ls just shows folders and files. It does not show, there are some inner files that we are not seeing. If you want to see them, how do we see them? From our past option, let's scroll. If you've forgotten, ls see dash a, there's an ls dash a option. So ls dash a desktop Linux 2004. Cannot access desktop, no such file. Yes, there's nothing like desktop, it's desktop. And voila, we have it. Bars drizzle file tutorial autorun blah blah blah. So that's like everything we have inside our folder. See, .disk, which was not even showing before, .disk. So those are all the files we have in the folder. You might be wondering, what is dot? What is dot? Dot is the present folder. The folder, like, it's just like saying the present folder, like the folder we are in right now. Right now. That's dot. So let's say if I say ls, is the same thing as ls dot. See, same thing. And that's dot is the present folder we are working on. So like really so I'm coming. Exactly. You see, wd okay, we'll get there later. So ls dot is the same thing as ls, right? If anyone, it's so easier to use ls than ls dot. And what's dot? Dot is to go back a folder. Like, is to go back a folder. So think about it this way: if we did not have dot, we will only be able to go forward. It's just like this. So documents, if you enter document, you can actually go back to home, and that's what dot does for us. Allows us to go back to the previous directory, depending on the command you pass to it. So if you pass cd to it, it will change there. If you pass ls there, it will show you the content. So let's say we move into desktop. Let's show the content of ls dot. Okay, let's move into our tutorial, which is in our desktop. We have desktop, we have tutorial, right? So now let's do dir ls. So these are the content of ls. Where ls dash a will show us all the content. Now let's do ls dot. See, ls dot shows us the content of a folder that has bars, drizzle file, and tutorial. You might be wondering, which folder is that? So let's click on our desktop. See, bars, drizzle files, tutorial, right?
tutorial, and we're inside tutorial because if you want to know your present working directory, this is our present working directory, highlighted part. That's the directory we are currently in. So here, and from here we did ls dot dot, right, and it's showing us the content. So literally what we just did is this is what we did: open a new window, right, but without having to manually use our mouse to move it and do stuff like that, because that was like very stressful, trust me. You've gotten so used to it that you might not think it's stressful, but once you master the command line to a certain level, it makes things a whole lot easier for you, a whole lot easier. Okay, yeah, let's continue. So bars drizzle file tutorial, and that's what dot dot does to take us back. So if we see the dot dot, what does it do? It takes us back into our desktop folder, right? You see the tutorial, right? dir or lsa. I created the dot file the other time, which I need to remove. I think it was, where did I create it? Please remind me. I created it in if I'm not mistaken, so I just skipped over a learning curve. Oh, sorry, let's make it a learning instrument. See, that means I still have some bad practices. So how would we check the content of how would we check the content of our home directory from our tutorial? Like, we don't want to go back but want to check the content. Just simply doing ls dot dot. We know if we dot dot back from tutorial, it will take us into desktop, right? Slash, if we dot dot, it will take us back into home, and this is where we want to be, right? So ls dot dot, it shows the content of home. If we just pass -a to it shows all the hidden files in this home folder. So now I can now inspect. See, this was the file I added the other time, right? That was the file I added. So what we want to do, we want to remove the file, but we'll get back to that. We are not removing it right now. Just let me keep it like this, because we've not got into the remove part, but we'll get there. Okay, now that we are, let's go back. Now that we are back here, sorry, let me do it again. Yeah, so now that we're here, what's the next thing? We want to learn how to create files. How do we create files on the command line? Like, I'm guessing if you want to create files, you probably do something like am I mistaken? See, something like this. I think this is files, Abby. This is a new tab, new window, new folder, new tab. I know it's somewhere there. Like, if you okay, let's start with folder. No, let's start with files. Are easier. So how do we create files? I'm going to teach you two ways. One might work for you, one might not work for you, but it's always good to have the two ways. The first way to create a folder, so we're inside the tutorials folder, which is here, desktop tutorial. Inside this folder, right, I want to create a file called python main.py or main.js. So touch main.py. See, and it creates a new file for us. Touch ade.js creates a file called ade.js for us. But now you might be wondering, touch, what does touch do for us? So touch help. A file argument. So I mean, really really, this is not even what touch does, right? Update the access and modification time. This is what it does: update the access and modification times of each file to the current file. But a file argument that does not exist is created empty unless -c or -s is supplied. So this is just like an hack, but then it has gotten so popular that I see, like I'm just even finding out right now that that's not even what it does. But then it's something we've all gotten used to. So tosh j.py or something crazy file called j.py. Create a file called j.py. But the one that actually works for everybody is that, like, I don't know of a system that it's not going to work. And if it does not work, you can just message me on Slack and we'll see what's going on with that. So there's something called echo, which is used to print. Echo is used to print information about a file. So let's say echo hello, right? It prints hello. Excuse me. Okay. So echo is used to print. Echo is just like print or console.log for those of you doing JavaScript. Console.log variable, string rather, or console.log numbers, or print hello word or something. So echo hello prints echo ade or something, prints ade, right? That's what echo does. So an hack can, a hack we can do is echo, then we'll give it let's say we want to create a main2.py, right? See, and it creates main2.py. What this does is, if you enter echo this, like, it will just print nothing into the terminal. So instead of printing into the terminal, we are now redirecting it into a file called main or main3.py as this. So it will check for that directory. Is there anything like main3.py? If there's nothing there, it puts it there. But okay, let's say we have main3.py, right? Let's write something inside it. Let's write print a boy, a dude. Let's save it, and that's the content of main3.py. So if we do this, what happens? We lose the content. So probably you don't want to use it with a file that already exists. You use it with files that you want to just create, which are files that does not exist, right? Echo example exe.js. See, creates it. And that's how to create files. So now that we've learned the two ways to create files, I advise you to always use this one. For those on Windows, this one should be easier for you. For those of you on Linux, use tosh. For those of you on Mac, definitely use tosh. It's easier for you to work that way. Yeah. And if you're on Windows too, you can use tosh, depending on if you are using CMD, please don't. I don't think tosh will work. Echo definitely will work. If you're on PowerShell and the likes, test it too and see if it will work. Okay, right. Now, how do we remove files? We've learned how to create files. Now we have to learn how to delete files. To delete file, there's a command called rm remove. That's basically what it means. Rm help. What does remove the files, right? See, files, it takes multiple files. So if we want to remove j.py, all we have to do is what? Rm j.py. Voila, remove j.py. Want to remove rm j.py, and it removes j.py. Now if you want to remove, you might be thinking, what if I have like 80 JS file that I want to remove? Like, do I now start typing I'm just guessing, if we have like something called b.js, c.js, d.js, e.js, f.js, h.js, like right now, that's just too long. There's something you can do, which is pattern matching or something. Pattern matching, yes. Start.js, right? So what this start does is any word, if you've done regex, it means greater than or equal to 0. Yeah.
greater than or equal to 0. So that means it can be so that means literally what this rm.js means is that anything that ends with .js, delete it. Rm dot, that's what anything that, so it can be a.js, it will remove it. It can be ade.js, it does not care, it will remove it. It can be adey.js, as long as it ends with .js, it removes it. It can even be adyy.py.js, as long as it ends with .js, it's all going to get removed, right? So rm.js, want to remove, see, it removes all. We had ade.py before, and ade.jx and exe.jx, and the files have been removed. So now let's remove the remaining Python files manually. Rm main.py, main3.py, main2.py. Voilà, we have it. And that's how to move, how to rename files. How to remove files and create files. Please keep them in an echo, then name of the file, or you do tosh name of the file. See, literally it creates a file called the name of the file, name of the file. It's it for us. Now let's talk about folders. How do we create folders? We create folders by using a command called mkdir. All these command, you might wonder, all these commands, you have to cram them, you have to know them. I'm already learning a lot, I have to cram a lot. No, you don't. You literally, you don't. I mean, like, let me ask you a question. How do you know print is to print hello world? You just know, like, you know it because you've been using print for a while, right? That's the way it will be if you start using the command line now. You get used to these commands, you don't even have to cram them. Like, literally don't even try to cram them. Just, okay, if you are in need of, like, if you want to do something, just go to Google. How do I create a folder? mkdir. If you use it today, if you use it tomorrow, I'm very sure on the third day you don't have to check it again. You already know what mkdir does. So how does mkdir work? Mkdir help. Please always read documentations. Very important. Very important. And documentations can be as short as this or as long as this. This is okay, as long as this, where you have to just keep reading, like, just to find what you want to do. It can be so stressful. See, this is the documentation. So don't be scared of documentations, please. Okay, back to what we're doing. mkdir. So what does mkdir do? It creates the directories if they do not already exist. Yes, so let's do mkdir. What happens? See, cannot create directory A, file exists. Yeah, something about Linux, everything is like all these folders, they are files. They are just files that have like, they are files that have like maybe another level to them, right? ls to check what we have, lsa to check all the files we have. There's another option. I want to segue back to ls. There's something to build. So there's another command we can pass to ls, which is -l. Let's check it. lsl. What does -l do? What -l does is what? Use a long listing format, right? So if you want to get more information about files, you can do ls-al. I'm sorry, ls-al. See the difference? ls-a. No, sorry, ls-a, ls-al, right? And these are depends on the way you want it. So if you want like more information about a file, like full information, June 14, 8/28, that was when this folder was created, or when it was last modified or something.
Like these are the information about it. 734, this was when it was created. 734 on June 14, that was when it was created. This is D. D is telling us this is a directory. These are the permissions. We'll get to that maybe in further classes or something, not today. This to tell us a folder. So how does a file get represented? So let's create a file called array.js. Right, then let's lsal. See, file 832. What's the time? Time is 832. 832 just created it. Then there is dash. This is to show us that this is a file. So files take dash dsd. There's s. S is for sockets, but we won't get to that. There is different. This is all basically all we need is d and dash. Alright, d for directory, dash for files. And files cannot be in different formats. So clear. Let's go back to mkdir. We're doing. So I did mkdir a. Cannot create directory because the directory already exists. And if you read the documentation, create the directories if they do not already exist, but they already exist. So let's create a directory called teach. Let's create a directory called wallet. Right, mkdir. Let's create a directory called wallet. Mkdir wallet. See, right on cue. Wallet gets created. So from wallet, let's create another directory inside wallet called a. So all we have to do is mkdir wallet /a. Let's check inside wallet. A is already created. Let's delete it to make sure it works. So let's do mk. See, it has been deleted. Let's check wallet. There's nothing inside. Oh, let's rerun it again. It gets created inside wallet, right? And that's how folders work. What about if we wanted to create a folder? Like wanted to create a folder called documents. Inside documents we have Postgres, or we have Python. Inside Python we have JavaScript. Inside JavaScript we have backend, something like that. So let's try it and see if it will work. mkdir, we have documents, right? Inside documents we have Python. Excuse me. Inside Python we have JavaScript. Inside JavaScript we have backend or something. Is it going to work? What do you like? Just take a minute. I know we've not gotten there, but do you think it will work? I have a very good feeling it will not work. Wow. Did I just see cannot create directory? Why can't he create it? That's because document does not exist. Like a directory called document does not exist. So inside document that does not exist, we want to create another thing called Python. Inside Python that does not exist, we want to create something called JavaScript. It's different from having to do like, we can literally just do what I just wrote as like this. mkdir can do documents, right? Create document to create it, because that's just one. We'll seed into documents, right? We'll do mkdir Python, right? We'll seed it has already created Python ls. Yes, we'll seed into Python, right? And then we'll do mkdir JavaScript again, right? There to create it. But then why is it that when we try to create it from tutorial, right, it does not get created? Sorry, it does not get created. Why is that? That's because we need to pass an option to it. So you might have noticed I've been doing something like ls-a l or mkdir ep, right? What dash -al is an option. They are called options. Help is an option, right? They are called options. While ls is a command, mkdir is a command, right? So like for example, see this mkdir help. The usage is mkdir, then options. These are the options that we can pass to mkdir, then the directories we want to create. So in our case now, when we want to create something called documents Python JavaScript backend, right? You can just do, it's already created, so let's create mkdir JavaScript Python backend. Let's try it again. mkdir Python documents. I'm just trying to mix it up. JavaScript, then backend. Alright, let's create it. It will give us 0. But then if you go and read the documentation, there's something called -p or parents. No error if existing. Makes parent directory as needed. Like that means it populates, like it's going to create the directories as needed. So we have Python, right? We don't have Python. See, this is the tutorial. We don't have Python. You can even check it. ls. See, there's nothing like Python there. I want to create Python. So if we pass the -p option to it, or parents, if we pass the -p option, you know what it does? It creates Python. Inside Python, it creates document. Inside JavaScript, inside Python documents, it creates JavaScript. Inside JavaScript, it creates backend, and voila, we have it. So this is Python documents, JavaScript, then backend. Right? Works like a sham. Now, how do we remove directories? Removing directories is tricky. Not really. We'll use rm too. Rm, which was used to remove files. Let's remove ade.js. Ade.js to remove it. Let's recreate it, which is echo. Right. So let's pass help option to rm to check the documentation for rm. This is rm, right? And if we want to remove directories, what do you think we'll do? Like, what are the options we will pass to rm? Right? Because okay, let's try rm. Since rm ade.js removes a file, let's try rm wallet. Will it remove wallet? No, cannot remove wallet. Is a directory, right? So let's search the options. There's this option called -d, remove empty directories. Very important. Remove what? Empty directories. Let's see wallet. Is wallet empty? Wallet is not empty. Okay, let's try rm/d wallet. See, cannot remove wallet, directory not empty. Okay, let's traverse into wallet. So this is where we are, right? What's a? See, a is empty. Now let's try to remove a using normal rm a. It can't remove it because it's directory. So let's patch the -d option to it. rm-d, then a. Is it going to remove it? Just take your time. You can just pause the video and take about 2 seconds to see if it removes it. Of course, it's going to remove it. rm-a. Why? Because a was an empty directory, and we know from the documentation that what -d removes empty directories. Now let's go back to tutorial. Now since we've removed -a, we can now go back cd. Now, how do we remove wallet? Since wallet is now an empty directory, there's nothing inside wallet, right? You can just do rm-d wallet. Sorry, I entered rmd wallet. See, rmd wallet. There's nothing like d. It should be rm-d. That was what I'm there to enter. -d wallet. See, voila, it removes wallet. And that's rm for you. Now let's recreate wallet a, because I still want to use it for another example. So how do we create it? Try it. How do you create a directory like this, wallet? Then inside wallet there's another directory called a, right? How do you create something like that? This is how we do it. You can pause the video and just try to do it before I do my own. So we'll do mkdir make directory -p wallet/a, or rather you can do something. If you want to be verbose, you can go -parents, same thing, -parents or -p, same thing, right? But -parents is too long. I mean, the whole purpose of this tutorial is to make us as productive as possible. So if we are using -parents, if you are a very fast typer, you can type parents, and the time it will take someone to type -p, and you go ahead. But then that means it will take you take you faster to type -p, so why not just type -p, right? Okay, so let's try mkdir wallet A. Will that work? No, it won't work. Why? Because we are trying to create another directory inside wallet. See, cannot create directory wallet / no such file. Or if we do mkdir /p wallet /a, works like a sham. So inside wallet is an A folder, right? Okay, now let's go back to removing. Now we've talked about removing empty directories. How do we remove directories that are not empty, right? So I mean rm help. So I told you rm-d is to remove directories that are not empty. So let's say rm-d wallet. Is wallet an empty directory? No, it's not. Why? Because it has something inside it. It has another folder. It does not even have to be a folder. Like, it can be a file, right? Okay, let's create a file inside wallet. How would we do that? Echo, right? From we're inside tutorial, right? I want to create a file inside A. Okay, nice. Let's create a file inside a folder called the folder A. Like, so we are here. This is where we are. We want to create a file inside this folder, inside wallet. We want to create another file inside A, right? How would you do that on your command line? If you wanted to do that on the command line, what you would do is, I'm guessing you open a new Windows, right? Create a file here, go here, create a file here, which is, trust me, that's punishment. When you can just do something as simple as this: echo touch wallet / let's say we want to create file1.txt, right? Voila. Now if you want to create it inside a /file.txt, now let's check wallet. There's a file.txt inside a. There's a file.txt. Works like charm. But that's even still stressful. Like with Tosh, you can just create everything you want. Wallet / let's say file2.txt, then wallet / a /file2.txt. Voila. So let's check wallet. We have file2.txt. Let's check it. We have file2.txt. See? Command line, it just makes things a whole lot easier for you. Please, after just try getting used to it. Now let's go back to where we were when we were talking about removing directories that are nested. That's a directory in a directory. Now let's cd into A. You know, A is now a very cd into, let's cd into wallet, right? There cd. A now has like 2 files inside it, so that means we can't do rmda again. It's not empty. Now let's go back to our documentation and see how do we remove a file that has something in it. There's something called rm-r recursive, which is used to remove directories and their content recursively. Okay. Sorry, excuse me. I just closed it by mistake. Let's do into wallet. Yeah. Now I want to remove. Let's start with removing file2.txt in A. No, let's try by let's remove A folder rather. I want to remove the whole A folder, right? Let's try rmda. Why is the rmda won't work? It won't work because -d is an option which is only used to remove directories that are not empty. Please keep that in mind. It's coming. So -d, remove empty directories. But if we want to remove directories that have files in them, we use something called -r.
or we use dash capital letter R, or we use dash recursive. Anyone you are comfortable with. It works. Anyone works. One of these three options. I prefer using small r because it's faster to type. Dash R and A. Voila. See, it removes it. Nothing. But then you might be wondering, what if I have like 80 files inside A, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure about everything. There are some I want to reduce. There are some I want to keep. There are some I want to delete. Right? I want you to give me like the option to choose the ones to delete. You can do that. Let's recreate A again. mkdir A slash F. So I'm sorry. Why did this fail? Please tell me. I don't think it failed. It failed because we didn't patch the dash B option, which is to create nested directories. So mkdir A slash F. So what does this do? It creates a folder, and inside it creates F. Right? So let's say we remove now let's populate these folders. Let's populate A slash F slash file.txt echo or a.txt a.file2.txt and 3.txt. I mean, I'm using echo because you guys use echo on your. Wait, let's try something. I have a feeling this will not work because, well, echo is an arc. It does not really. Well, it works. Yes. So inside A we have file.txt and it does not work. I knew it was not going to work. No, I didn't know it was not going to work. But it did not work. But it is just not true. It did not work. Why? It's created file.4txt, see? But it did not create A slash file.txt. Okay, now let's delete this one. But let's use Tosh. Tosh will create it. Tosh A slash file4.txt A slash file5.txt. See? Voila, right on key, it creates it. Now let's go back to wallet. Now we're back in wallet. We're still in wallet. ls/al. Good. Now I want to delete all A folder. A is not a very bulky folder. It has F folder. It has file.txt. One way to remove it can be as simple as saying rm-ra. It will clear everything. But then let's say we want to keep what's it called? Want to keep this file.txt, the one inside F. I want to keep file5.txt. How does that work? There's an option we can pass. Let's go and read the documentation again. There's I prompt before every remover. So before it removes anything, it will ask us, bro, are you okay with me removing this thing? Dude, are you okay with me removing this thing? Sis, are you okay with me removing this thing? So ri, you can enter -ri, you can enter -ir, your choice. You can enter -i, -r, you can enter -r, -i. So that's why you see some commands that are bulky, like for example, you can see something like aux.p.s. I'm not saying this is correct, or .w, .q, .d. They all do different things. P might be to remove all P, S might be to add ls, W might be to just different things. You use them interactively together to get what you want. So for our case, we'll be doing rm-i-r, and taking note, rm-i-r is the same thing as rm-ir. This is just faster to type because with this one you have to touch the I then -r, as opposed to just typing -ir and you're good to go. -ir A, right? So it asks us, design into a directory. Yes. Y is yes. Remove regular file A slash file4txt. Yes, we want the file to be removed. So let's go into it so we can see that as it happens real time. It it's asking me if I want file4.txt to be removed, and I want it, so I say yes, the file has been removed. Do I want file2 to be removed? Yes, I do. Now it descends, it's asking us, should it enter the F directory? This F directory, of course, enter, see what's inside. Yes, enter F. It's asking us, should I remove a/f/file test? Should I remove this file? I said, remember the question, no, we don't want this file removed, so we say n, no, it should not be removed. So it comes back out. Now this is a dilemma. It's not asking me, should I remove directory a/f? If I enter yes, you know this whole directory is going to go, and I don't want this file txt to go, right? So what do? We enter no, we don't want it to remove. Should I remove file3.txt? Yes. Should I remove file.txt? Yes. Should I remove file5.txt? No. Should I remove the whole A directory? Another dilemma. If we remove the whole A directory, right, what happens? Whether we care about file5 or not, everything gets removed. So we don't want that happening. So we do remove, no, we don't want it removed. And that's voila. Clean the repository, the folder to remain f file txt, which is what we need, and file5.txt, which is an empty file, but we care about it because it's ours. Now if you now want to remove the OA folder, if you don't care about anything, you can just do IR. You can just do, yeah, we can do IRA, but that's too slow. Like, think about if you have ET files and you have to select everything one by one, it can piss you off. And just rm-ira, boom, and the OA folder is removed. Right, that's removing files for you and I. Now let's go back into tutorial. How do we know we're inside tutorial? ls-al, which is the same thing as ls-a-l. Please keep that in mind so it does not confuse you. So now what's the next thing to do? The next thing to do is to, the next thing to do is to learn about moving and copying, because now we've learned how to create files, to delete files, to create folders, to delete folders, recursive or not, right? Before that, let's clean up our Python folder. I think we created a Python documents, JavaScript, backend. Come on. How do we do that? So you guys can try that. That's a trivia for you. How do you clear that folder once without prompting, without doing anything? Just clear the whole thing. And that's as simple as doing. That's as simple as doing rm-r Python. If I do rm-i Python, will it work? Will it work? No, it won't. Why? Because there's no folder called Python. See? But there's a folder called Python with capital P. Please keep that in notice. Oh, also, before I forget some things, Python like this is the same thing as this. So you can see some people adding dash at the end of their Python. That's maybe what they like. Let's create a see me about to make a very big mistake. Let's create a folder called pancake. I have something I want to explain, right? So we now want to remove. Let's create another folder called pizza. Now I want to remove a folder that starts with P, right? But we don't want to type everything. Like, the command line is all about making things as easy as possible for you, man. So let's say we do rm. Let's just do rm, and we enter P, then we enter tab. Tab. See what it does. Try it from your terminal. rmp tab. It shows us all the folders that start with P, which is pancake folder. Let's create another directory called Y, right? So now let's remove rmw tab. It shows us all the folders that start with W. So that's another thing. When you enter a word W and you enter tab, it shows you all the files. So let's say you add h to it, tab, see, just completes it automatically for you. Why? Instead of having to type why.
So all you have to do is just W tab. Okay, we have wallet. Okay, tab, voila. And if we add another directory called maybe whale, so let's say rmw tab, it shows us. Then we add a tab, it shows us the two again. When we enter I or L, anyone, I see complete wheel for us. So just remove it. Cannot remove wheel because it's a directory. Yes, we cannot remove it. So how do we remove it? By adding the -d option. Because it's empty, we know it's empty because we just created it to show a very simple illustration. So -r whale, can just do tab whale and do wallet. See, tab completes everything for me. And we've removed wow, I removed wallet and that was a mistake, but all good. Now let's remove y, rm/d, why? Because it's an empty directory. Now let's remove pizza and pancake, rm/d, p, tab, remove rm/d, pancake, tab, removes. Now we have Python, right? With rmd, will you remove Python? No, it won't, because Python is not empty, right? To remove Python, we use rm-r Python, and voila, it removes Python. If you want to remove documents, rm r documents, remove documents. Sorry, excuse me. Okay, now good. Now the next thing to do is to talk about move and copy, which is used to move and copy files from in our directory. So let's create more miscellaneous files that we need. mst, txt, mist. Let's create misc.py. Right, let's lsa, capital letter A, sorry. This is a very good learning curve. So now I want to delete some files. I want to delete all files that start with .docx and all files that has .docx from our A directory. How do I do that? rm, right, a/star.docx. So what this does is it should delete all files that start with .docx. So ls a, see, it has deleted it. Now let's delete that folder, rm d. We don't know if it's an empty folder, but let's try it. If it's not an empty folder, it will give us an error. See, it's not an empty folder. That means let's check the folder and see why it's not empty. lsa/force. Don't forget we are still inside tutorial. So what happened, why I got that error was because I was inside tutorial and I was trying to access force. See, this is tutorial. There's nothing like force inside tutorial, right? But there's something like force inside A. So ls/a-force. Wow, we have Ade, Kaido, and Yonko. These are directories, and I want to clear everything because I don't have any use for them. /force/star. See, it shows us the content. That means inside Ade there's nothing, inside Kaido there's nothing, inside Yonko there's something. There is nothing rather. So we can remove it. How do we remove it? rm-r force. Cannot remove force. Sorry, I keep making that same mistake. There's nothing like force inside tutorial, but there's force inside A. So a/force. Voila. So now let's do lsa. See, A is now an empty folder, right? B2, okay, B2 has a couple of files. We want to remove that one anyhow. R, R, no, if I do this, what will happen? It will remove the B directory, but that's not the plan. I want to remove everything that is inside B, not B itself. Ah, that was wrong, sorry. Dash R, not dash space R. Very important. All these little things, dash R. Refusing to remove dot and dot. Skipping. Okay. So what this B slash dot is doing is what is going to remove everything inside B. And let's check the content of B. ALB. Let's check the whole content of B. So B has dot dot dot, and I told you this dot and dot dot they are from Linux itself, right? It's so as to be able to navigate the directory. Dot is the present directory, and dot dot is to go backwards. So if we remove it, since it's inbuilt, we probably can't remove it. Like, how do I know it's inbuilt? Let's create a directory called empty, right? So this is empty. Now let's check the content of empty. Like, the empty is empty. No pun intended. But that's not the point. Empty is a directory that has nothing in it, right? If we do ls empty, we'll get nothing. But if we do ls al empty, we'll get dot and dot dot, which we did not create. So that's to tell you that it's an inbuilt these are inbuilt things in by, like, when you automatically create a folder, it will be there, and we don't want to touch them. So right, that's just by the way, that's just a segue. Now let's go back to our B, which was what was giving us issue. Wanted to remove jq.py and JSON parser. Want to remove those folders. One way to do, let me see if this should work. rm-r b/star. Works. Like I said, star represent anything. So B star can go from meaning A to AB to AC to AD to ABC to, like, anything. It means any pattern. If you just see anything, that means what this literally means is inside B directory, come into this B directory, anything you see, anything, start anything you see, remove it. So let's create a couple of directories inside B. Let's create A, let's create B, let's create C, right? C inside B. C, different things. Let's create D, BG, BA, FA. Just populate it as you want, right? Now let's remove it. rm-r b/dot, right? Voila, it removes everything. So please remove, and when you are removing, it's always good to hash the i -i, because you don't want to remove a very important file. Once you remove on the terminal, no, it's not like this way. If I delete now, it will go to trash, right? Then I can restore from trash. Once you delete on the terminal, it's all but done. So please be careful when you remove. It goes to dev/null. That's like the void. Anything that enters there. Boom. Wait, let me see. See this file extension C. That's not even, it's not dash, it's not D. This one is C. What does that mean? That's a very good, I don't know what it means. Now let's go back to moving. Now moving, MV is used to move, MV help, right? It's used to move. Rename, it can do two things. It can rename or it can move. It can rename and it can move. So now we have ade.js and we have misc.py, right? misc.py is an empty folder. Empty file, excuse me. ade.js is an empty file. Now what we want to do is want to rename ade.js into misc.py. I want to rename misc.py into ade.js. So how do we know them from each other? So inside ade.js, let's put print hello world, right? That's inside ade.js. Let's inside misc.py, let's put console.log hello world. Let's put this. Yes, so we have misc.py, we have console.log. So we want to move misc.py into so we want to move misc.py into ade.js. I want to move ade.js. I want to rename rather misc.py into ade.js. I want to rename ade.js into it. So basically all we just do is misc.py add sorry, I want to move misc.py into misc.js. See? I removed it. So I have to create it again. So how do we create files? We use this echo, right? Or basically what echo does, like I said, what echo does is just, so we can do something like echo console.log hello world and do it into misc.py. Yeah, let's do what we know. That was easier. No. Yeah, okay. Now let's do okay, let's populate it, sorry. Console.log hello world. Hello world. Right. So now let's move misc.py into what? Move misc.py into misc.js. See, that's renamed. Move ade.js into ade.py. Boom, I have it. See, ade.py now. Print hello world. misc.js. Console.log. See, everything works just the way we want it, and that's the way mv work. So it can be used to rename, which is you put the old name and the new name, or it can be used to move. Now if you want to move like think I want to move ade.py into A, I want to move misc.js into B, so that would be mv. This is another of its function. Move ade.py into what? A slash, see, move misc.js into B. If you like, put slash. If you like, don't put slash. It works just the same. See, inside A we have ade.py, inside B we have misc.js. Now let's move whatever is inside B, which is what, misc.js, into A. How do we do that? We want to move mvb slash what, misc.js, which is inside B, into what, into what's inside A, into A. I want to move into A. Voila, that means B is empty, right? And inside A we have two files. Now let's move the content of A, which is mva slash ade.py, into what, B slash B slash or B, as gives me BC. Now we've successfully interchanged it. That means the content of B we've moved it into A, and the content of A we've moved it into B, and that's like that's the way MV works. CP works the same way too, like literally the same way. CP misc.txt into B. See, now if we check B, we should see something called misc.txt. See, CP is copy, while MV is move. They basically work the same way too. The only big difference is when you want to copy folders, and if you want to copy folders, you have to do cp-r. Sorry, let me see. I want to get the content of directory in tutorial. So you want to do, like, let's do cp b a. See, it won't work. We are trying to copy cp b a. What does that mean? We are trying to copy b into a, but b is a folder, so it won't work. So all we have to do is cp-r b a. And successfully we have, if we check A, we see something called B inside, right? If you want to copy A into B, -r A B. So inside B we have A. This kind of, now let's remove it. rm A slash B and B slash A. We cannot remove it because they are directories. And how do we remove directories? We use -d option. The directory is not empty. Because it's not an empty directory, what do? We use -r. So rm is to remove normal files, rm-d is to remove empty directory, and rm-r is to remove directory regardless of if it has content or not. Boom. And inside it, we will not see anything. We will not see any B folder again. Inside B, we will not see any A folder. That's it. So MV is used to move or rename, as we showed you. And if you want to move B into A, you can just do mvb A to move B into A. If we create another B, if we create another, if we can move A. Okay, now we know B is inside A. Now we can move B back into its normal position. So we do mvb, we do mva slash B, and we put dots. Good. First time we're using dots. That's surprising. So I told you dot is the present directory. Like, before we do that, let's do /A. Dot is the present directory. Dot is the previous directory, right? So now we have B inside A. So inside A we have a folder called B, and that's why we did mva slash B. Then we want to move that B into this present directory. Dot. Voila. Then inside A we will not have any B again, and inside B we will have the old files and content of B. And that's a very short intro into what the command line entails. I really implore you to start using the command line. You will not get better by just watching this tutorial video. Trust me, you have to watch it and start using it. Like, even if initially you become, it will make you slower, then exponentially you start getting faster with it and more comfortable with it. So please, it serves no purpose if you know it but you don't do it. So start using the command line, get better with it, then you'll be able to do more stuff. Like, you'll be able to work faster. Then the command line wouldn't be so scary, where if you have tools like Git, where you're afraid to use Git and stuff, and since you're a developer you'll be using Git a lot, trust me. So you need to get comfortable with the command line, then start using Git and everything. We'll be dropping a tutorial on Git very soon, like in conjunction with this one, interactive Git or not, but like Git in production or Git in development, right, where we are using it as we are working along with our files. Right, I think that will help. That will really help. And that's almost everything. And if you want to end the terminal section, you use exit. Exit does that. Now back to our tutorial. So how do we remove this .gitignore? If you remember in the beginning, I said we created a file that was not supposed to be there. So all we do is what? rm.gitignore. No. What am I saying? .gitignore is not under
let's check the content of our current folder. It's not there. .git ignore is inside our desktop, if I'm not mistaken. So how do we remove it? We remove it by doing rm /. So that has to take us, like, we are here right now. So now we are here. That means this is where we have git ignore. Well, how do I know? Because a test file.txt, this is this cat main.py. Where's cat.main.py, cat.py. So really that's where we have git ignore. It's not just showing because, okay, let me show it in files. What am I doing? Show it in files. Git ignore, git ignore, git ignore. I can't see git ignore. Git config. Yeah, this is it. It's a folder. Wow, I created it as a folder. That's surprising. Git ignore, right? There's nothing inside it. And if we check the history, let's check the history. Like, let's check the full history. ls-al .git ignore. It's a directory that we created June 14, 0807. So I created it this morning and I don't need it again. So how do I remove it? rm dash what? D // .git ignore. Wow, delete it. So now let's do ls. So from our tutorial, we don't even have to leave our tutorial, and without .git ignore again. So that brings us to the end of the tutorial. Bye. I hope it was explanatory. Bye.